Hello guys, and welcome back to another Tweaker Man video. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to make one of these, which is a Tonearm cable, pure silver Tonearm cable, fitted with rhodium plated tellurium copper RCA plugs, a 5 DIN female gold plated DIN plug, and earth wire ground. Right, okay, this is all the stuff that we need to make this Tonearm cable on the table here. So the most important bit is the conductor material, which is 0.5 49 silver. Now the reason I'm using 0.5 is because silver tends to be, it has in my opinion less low frequencies than the silver cladded copper. So I tend to go up a gauge just to give it that extra lower frequencies. Right, okay, we also need PTFE tape. Again, we need 2 RCA plugs. Now these ones are rhodium plated tellurium copper. Okay, we need 5 DIN female DIN plug, which is this one there. Okay, we need some braid for finishing the job. We need some silver plated copper braid here, which we're going to be using for shielding. Okay, we need some solder, a range of tools, soldering iron, heat gun, a drill, a few scissors and wire cutters, and that's what we basically need. Right, so we're gonna crack on with this. So what I've done already is I've made one half of the cable up already, and I've used an earth wire from another cable that I've had, which has already got a spade connector on the end for the earth. Okay, so we're going to put that to one side for the minute. This is the other side of the cable that I've already made up. Okay, so this is the left channel, and we're going to make up the right channel. And all you have to do is just, I mean, it's the same cable on both sides. So there's no point in me showing you how to make 2 of them. So I've made this one up, and we're going to crack on with the next one. So here we go. So this is our pure silver wire, 0.5. I've cut it in a metre length. Okay. And now all we're going to be doing is covering this in PTFE tape. I mean, if you're familiar with my videos and you watch them all the time, you'll know that obviously I use a lot of this stuff. It works really well. So you can put it in a drill and spin it to put it on. First of all, you need to get it started. Now, I do recommend using generally silk covered silver wire, but at the moment we're having issues getting it. Silk has a lower dielectric constant than Teflon, which this is, but it's not by a lot. So so that's why I'm using PTFE tape on this, because it's readily available more than the silk covered. You can also use cotton covered, and there is another method that I use, but for this I just thought I'd show you how to do it this way. So we've got to just cover this whole wire with 2 layers of PTFE tape. So once I've done that, I'll be back in a second. Right, so we've put in a drill and we're spinning it, because it really speeds the process up. It's very laborious doing PTFE tape. So we're coming up to near the end, and then we're just going to come back on ourselves a little bit. Carry on. Right, back on ourselves a bit more, bit more. That's it, that's stop. Right, brilliant. Okay, so that's that part. Right, okay, we've done our the other side of the cable already, which we've made up, which is the left side. And if you can see here, I've got a diagram of the plug. So we've made up the left side. Now we're making up the right hand side. So what we're going to be doing is to indicate it, we're going to be using some tiny bits of heat shrink. So this piece here is a piece of red, which is just going to pop over there. Okay, it's a bit fiddly because it's quite small, but we only need it just to indicate where we've got to go and that. So we'll just get the heat shrink gun. Oh, it would help if it was plugged in. Okay, so we're just going to shrink that down a little bit, which is fine there. We're going to use another piece on the other end, obviously, because we could use a measuring device to test it afterwards, but it's just easier to do it this way, to be honest with you. So here we go. Shrink that down. That's perfect. Just take that up slightly, that one there, if we can. That's fine. Right, okay, so that's that one. So that is the positive, the right hand positive, and this is the right hand negative now, which is indicated with a bit of green heat shrink. This is the same as when you look at your cartridge tags. It's the same thing. So there we go, onto there again. So what we've done is we've now spun this piece of 0.5 pure silver wire in a drill and covered it in PTFE tape. Now I've done the other one earlier, so now we've got two. They're exactly the same length. So all we're going to do now is we're going to now twist this by hand. Now the reason why, you could put this in a drill, but what I've found with my experience is as you get down to the bottom, one wire is longer than the other because it's twisted wrong. And by doing this by hand, just hand twisting it like that, I can just keep checking the wires are the same length as I go along. If you spin it in a drill and one goes out, you've got to undo the whole lot and then it buggers up the conductor size. So there we go, keep going down like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to twist this down to the bottom and I'll be back in a minute. Right, okay, we're coming to the end of our twist now, so we're going to get to there. Now what we're going to be doing now is covering this in 2 layers of PTFE tape again, just to hold the twist in place. We don't want it to move. It won't move anyway, but it just finishes the cable, makes it look so much more neater. So I'm going to twist this along around these 2 wires and I'll be back in a second. So we're coming to the end of the 2 layers of PTFE tape here. Right, so this is our other side, our other channel set up, which is the right hand channel. So now what we've got to do is we need to cover it in some silver plated braid, and then we're going to give 2 more coats, or two more layers I should say, of PTFE tape over the top of that again. So we're going to offer this up to the wire here. Okay, and then we're going to just chop it off round about there, make it slightly bigger, shoot it over the end slightly, and then we're going to so now what we can do is we need to remove that pipe out of there. Now, enable to stop these conductors at one end getting damaged when we push them through the braid, is we just cover it with some PTFE tape again. And then we'll pull that off after. Right, so we've got that. Everything keeps falling off the bench today. Right, so we've got that. So now all we're going to do is we're just going to thread all this through. It's very easy. Now it won't stick out the other end yet because I've overshot it. Now with this end here, I'm going to just push it up a bit. Doesn't matter that I can't see that red piece now. We know that we know that one's slightly lower than the other. We'll just push it up to there, and then we're just going to put some PTFE tape around that just to make it nice and tight. Now the reason why I put PTFE tape over the twist again wasn't just to hold it in place, it just gives the braid a nice cushion as well. So just go up there. Okay, so we've chopped that off there with the scissors, and that's our two conductors at the top there. Now this is the plug end, and down here is the RCA plug ends. So we're going to chop that off there. I think that's about right. Can't feel anything there. Chop it off there. And then we're going to open up this braid with a very small screwdriver, jeweler's screwdriver, just to open up the end here. There we go. Slowly doing it. Put that up. Whoops, there we go. That's about right. Just take it a little bit further down than that, only slightly. It's so, when you do these videos, it's so more difficult doing this on a video than it is when just sitting down doing it yourself. I mean, I can make one of these cables up in half the time when I just sit there on my own doing it, but as I'm doing it on video, it seems to take longer, you know. It's just so we're going to just take a little piece of that, we're going to twist it, then we're going to chop the rest of it off there. Now this is going to go to the ground on the RCA end, RCA plug end. So we'll just chop that round like that. Okay, and now we can then remove the PTFE tape around this piece again now, which tends to get a bit mucky. There we go. Right, so that's off the end there. So now all we're going to do now is we're going to start a new PTFE tape, because that one's going to run out halfway through. And now I'm just going to cover this again in 2 layers of PTFE tape, and I'll be back with you. Let me just show you how to start it. Go round there, take it round there. We need to really make sure there is none of this braid that's going to interfere with the 2 conductors. Well, one of them is an earth anyway, so the ground, I should say, same thing. So now I'm just going to cover this in 2 layers of PTFE tape again, and I'll be back with you in a second. Right, so we're coming to the end now. Back on ourselves a little bit, and then we'll just snap that off there. So what we've got to do now is we need to put our piece of heat shrink over the end of it, just to indicate left and right, or the left and right. So the other one was the right hand, the left hand channel. This one is the right hand channel. Now I've just chopped this heat shrink around about 10 inches or 255 millimeters. And what this is going to do now is we're going to slide this on here. Get that on there. This is always fiddly. You have to just compress them at first a bit just to get it through there. There we go. So we're just going to be pushing that up slowly till we come out the other end. There we go. Right, okay, so what we're going to do is just we've got our 2 conductors sticking out the top there. They're quite short, so we'll just pull them back a bit after. We're just going to heat the heat shrink up with our heat gun there. There we go, that's that done. Right, so now we've got our left. We've got our left and right channels here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is keep them the same length there. And then we're going to be twisting these two together, like so, again. And once we twisted these together, we'll be back in a second. So we started twisting them, but I failed to say that we need to put some PTFE tape around the base of it first. Now all this twisting, what it effectively does is it helps towards rejecting any interference, radio frequency interference or electromagnetic interference. So we'll just carry on twisting this together now, and we'll be back in a second. It's pretty easy, look, it just goes, you just get it like that. So we'll be back in a second. Right, okay, so we've got to the end of the braid now, the twist now. So all we're going to be doing is putting some PTFE tape around it again. And we're going to work our way to the bottom with the PTFE tape. Now, we've also got, I'll do in a minute, we've got to run our earth wire along as well. I'll just do another 2 layers of this just to make sure we've got it all nice and neat. You can see what goes into making a cable like this. Now that's probably why when you look at high-end cables, right, now I always say that don't buy high-end cables, they're very expensive and some of them are thousands of pounds, right? But if they're made by hand and they take time to do, you could almost sort of justify why you're paying that money. But the whole idea of this channel is so you can learn how to make them yourself and save yourself lots of cash. I tell you, it's amazing how little this cable costs to make. I mean, the RCA plugs, 2 RCA plugs work out to about £8. The DIN plug works out to around about the same, £8. The wire works out to around, that's probably about £10 for the wire. So we're up to £24. A bit of braid, bit of thing. You probably get away with altogether £40, I reckon, to make a high-end pure silver Tonearm cable. Now, if you look at, if you go onto any high-end site that sells, Tonearm cables, you'll see it's pure silver ones are thousands of pounds. You might find a couple of small companies on eBay selling them cheaper. Like I did notice there was one on there for about 150. Not sure how good it is, what sort of materials he's using for it. So but this is going to be the dog's kahunas once it's done. This is real quality. I mean, you would be expecting to spend a lot of money to get a cable as good as this, and can't wait to get it going on there. And the reason why I know this is because I use this wire a lot, and I know the geometry that I'm twisting it in works well, and everything that I do with these I know is going to sound really, really good. So I hope you all can see how well I'm making this, and I hope you can copy it and replicate it yourself. And it'll be good that so it looks like my PTFE tape may run out before the end, which I'm hoping it doesn't, but we're getting towards the end of this one now, and then we can just start putting our braid on there. There we go. Oh, it's again going to be close. It's going to be close. There we go. Oh, look at that. Brilliant. We've managed to get to the end with 2 layers. I keep saying coats, I mean layers of PTFE tape. Right, okay. So we've got it down to there now. So I do have an extra special braid that I'm going to use on this now, which I'm going to show you shortly. So this is what you call a silver plated nylon braid. Now the reason this is silver plated is because it helps to reject any radio frequency and electromagnetic interference again. So effectively this cable from the top to near the bottom is going to be shielded further again. So effectively, to do a second shield you could use an aluminium foil tape, which I have, but I prefer not to use that, so I'm going to use this. So what we've got to do is we're just going to chop it nice and straight, and we need to singe the ends up with the soldering iron to stop it from fraying at the ends. Right, so we're just going to singe off the ends here, just melt it back very slightly with the back part of the soldering iron. It just helps to keep the braid in place. Now this is I've got a couple of lengths of this. This is just left over from when I ran my audio business. So what we're going to do is we're going to thread all our wires through there. I'm going to take it up to about there. And actually we can probably chop it now. I will go back to about there, because this being bigger it won't need to stretch too much. I'm going to cut that off there, and now we're going to singe the ends. Now I did have many of my cables when I ran the audio business reviewed in magazines. I had quite a few reviews. They're all good reviews. So right, okay, so we've done that now. Now all we need to do is we need to thread all this through now. This being wider, I'm just going to attempt to do this without, just push those together. I think it's going to, I'll just put some PTFE tape down. It's just safer. You don't really want to damage any of the conductors at this stage. So we'll just put those around like that, and we can just take it off after. It just helps to protect the conductors there. That's fine. Okay, so let's just get to this. We're near the end of the of the cable. All we've got to do is do our terminations now. Oh, I forgot. Before we do that, I've got carried away. I need to put my earth wire in. So here's our earth wire as well. So we're gonna take the earth wire up there. I'm just going to use a bit of PTFE tape to hold it in place. Yep. So here's our PTFE tape. Right, so we're just gonna do this in a couple of areas. So we're going to just follow that down like so. Take it round. It always twists up around, so you sort of... Now I didn't want to put this in with the main twist of the two left and right channels. I like to run it on the outside really. I don't want it to interfere with anything, so that's why I've run it on the outside of it. Okay, so that runs down there like that, and then we're just going to put a bit more PTFE tape down the end there, the bottom, just to hold it in place. And then the braid will just hold it in place afterwards. Right, okay. So we're there. Right, okay, let's just file this back into here again. Now you don't have to use this silver plated braid, it's very expensive. It's just that I thought I'd use it anyway, seeing as I've there we go. so we're at the other end here now. So let's move that up close there. And now all we need to do now is we need to use a piece of heat shrink on the end here, a large piece, just to hold this in place. Okay, so we've got some heat shrink here, which is about 22mm, I think it is. Let me just check on my no, it's 20mm, which is fine. It should just slide over. So we're going to use a piece. We can cut it, you can just, you know, offer it up, do what you like really. 50mm, say. Okay, so 50mm there. Push that into there. We need to push that up a little bit further. Actually, we want to go up to about round about there. This is a bit, you've got to be, you have to, that's it, I've got it in there now. Brilliant. So we need to push that back to about there, because we need to make sure we can still see our colours. Right, okay, so we'll just heat that up with the gun there. Shrink that down. Remember, when you're heating with a gun, try to stay away from the braid too much. You don't want to melt it. You want to keep it away. It melts very easy. Times when I first started learning how to do this, I was constantly melting braid, but there we go. So we've got that piece down there. So now we're going to stretch this down here, and then we're going to put another piece on down the bottom here to hold this in place. So we might go for a bit bigger down the bottom here, maybe, I don't know, 70mm. Doesn't have to be exact. So this time we need to fiddle out right, brilliant. Let's just get that onto there like that. Okay, push it back, push it up first, and then we want to really then pull that down nice and strong down there, so then we can get that, shoot it over the end and that, because we want it to shrink around these wires here. There we go, perfect. I always look back after I've done these videos. I always look back on the video and think it doesn't look that professional. And to be honest with you, it's very difficult on a video. I don't have excellent filming equipment. So, but as you can see there, look, that's come up lovely. That's a lovely cable made up there. So all we need to do now is terminate the ends off. So we're going to first start off with our DIN plug. Okay, so this has now got to be, whoops, I've dropped the end. This has now got to be pushed on. So at the back housing of the plug. So if I can find the screwdriver, that seems to have gone missing. There we go. So now we're going to take, this is our plug back here. Okay, we've got some screws in there which we want to pull out. Now we've got to try to get that over here, which is going to be quite difficult because it's quite large. Oops. There we go. Now if it doesn't fit over, what I shall do is spray a bit of silicone spray around it just to make it slide on easy. So that's going to go over there like so. And now that looks very big, doesn't it? Look, it doesn't look like it's going to go on there. So what we're going to do is shrink that down a bit more with the gun, and then put some silicone on it. Right, okay, we're just going to apply a little bit of silicone spray around here. just to slide, make sure that the end of the we can get the wire through. It's still stiff, still quite stiff. There we go, that's coming on, that's going on. I like to make it nice and tight because it makes a cable look better, and also it keeps it nice and snug in there. There we go. Right, that gives us enough out the end that we need to do what we've got to do. So we're going to just we're going to put our connector now into this little hole here, so it's easy for me to solder. So I drilled the hole out to put that in there. Now what we're going to be doing now is cutting these all this back a bit, because it's way too long at the moment now. So I made them bigger, but we're just going to chop them back a bit. So this is our diagram there again. So we've got our red and our green, which is this side, and our blue and our white, which is the other. So for some reason, the bit of heat shrink that I had on there, the green has dropped off, but I know it's the green because the red one's still on there. So we're going to just snip that off about there. Now some people say, why are you using scissors? Why are you not using some wire cutters? I've got some wire cutters there, but I prefer scissors. Does it matter? It's fine. It works fine. You can do what you like, remember. There's no hard and fast rule for doing anything in life. You can just do, you know, as long as it works, that's all that matters. Right, so now all we've got to do now is just to push these wires back. Push the PTFE tape back with your nails, just so we can reveal a piece of the conductor there. There we go. Or you can use a pair of wire strippers just to put it back. So there you go, there's a pair of wire cutters there. Right, okay, so that's that one. And then we want to just slip off this side here as well, which is our right plus. We're going to do the same with this. Just push it back a little bit. There we go. Just to reveal the conductor. And we need to do the same with all of them. Again. This is our blue. There. Chop that off. I need to go a bit lower than that with that one. Okay, and we're going to just push that back again, just to reveal the conductor there. And this is our white, which is already white, which is fine. So pull that back. Right, okay, so that's that. And now all we need to do is chop off our earth, our ground wire earth. There we go, that's why I like using scissors. Right, okay, now we can use this to strip off the earth wire there a bit, so it can go. Now we may have to slim the earth wire down a bit to get it into the plug there. Right, okay, let's not do it with those. Right, okay, we're just going to use a blade there, just to cut that off there, just to chop that. There we go. Now I have a feeling that is not going to fit into one of those, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to slim this down, twist one side down round like so, and then I'm going to chop off the remainder. There we go. Right, okay. So now we're going to just start soldering this end in. Now this is quite complicated, this is. So bear with me while I do it. It's quite time consuming to get it right. So we've got our conductors here. What I like to do is just to put a little piece of solder on the wires to start with. Okay, we don't want to make that one too big because because that's got to fit in the hole there. There's a bit on there, bit on there, bit on there. Right, okay, so now I've got to put the red down into the right hand channel, which is this side here. So this is going to be very difficult to film this piece here. So what I need to do is to get this and load the soldering iron up with a piece of solder to start with. There we go. Then we got, whoops, that's that one. That's that one in place. There we go. Now we need to do the white one now. So this is very complicated when you do this. It's really difficult. It's not an easy process. It's something you've got to have a lot of patience with, which I have, which is good. Otherwise we would be in trouble. There we go. So now we need to load out a bit more solder up on there. Hang on, let's do it again. There we go, that'll do. Then we need to just press it onto there. There we go. It's another one in there. Now obviously you don't want to mix up your you don't want to these are so small and fine, you don't want any solder touching any of them. So now that earth wire now is a tad too long, so we're just going to chop that off a little bit, that bulbous bit of solder on the end of it. And now we're going to try to attempt to fit that in the top there of it, into the hole there. Now you've got to have good eyesight to do this, and I've got very poor eyesight these days. It used to be good, but it's gone downhill lately. So we need to bend it just to get it in the right place there. So this is where I bought this thing that I wanted to start using, which is this. It's a magnifying glass with a light on it, so I can get into there. See that there? That's perfect. Right, now I need to be able to see this. See now, if you can see that very carefully there, you can see that some of the wire there from the copper, from the earth wire, is a bit splayed out. So what we need to do is just to twist that a bit more, because we don't really want that to. And what we might do is just put a bit of solder over it, because we don't want that splaying out and touching any of the other parts of the conductor. Okay, so now what we've got to do is just put that back in there for a second, because this is going to be hot now. We need to feed that into that little hole there. There we go. Ah, that's perfect. That looks perfect. Right, okay, now we've got our soldering iron, and now we need to just solder that off. Give that a wipe. There we go, that's in there nice and neatly. Make sure there's no rubbish in the way. So the next one is the blue conductor, which is here. which is going up to there. So all we need to do now is just to load our soldering iron up with a bit of solder on the end there again. And now we're going to take that there. What we want to do is to brilliant, look at that, it's gone really well. I'm a bit, I said this before in another video, I'm a bit of a perfectionist with soldering. Then someone made some sort of negative comment again, which is fine, I don't care, but it does piss me off a little bit. But you know, oh, I shouldn't have said that word, sorry. So now we've got our last one now to solder in. So what we're going to do is just get the soldering iron again. We need to load it up with another little bit of solder, only a tiny bit. Okay, we're going to push that into place. We just need to pull that around a bit. I love all my plugs to be immaculately soldered, but like everything in life, some jobs go better than others. Right, now one thing we do have to watch out is none of these solder none of the solder is touching the sides of the plug, which won't help. So so now we're going to get the plug now, and now we're going to try to fit that on. But there's a bit of solder there that looks a bit rogue to me, just on that one, which I need to make sure goes flat up. That's better. Right, that's better. Now another thing I'm going to do now quickly is just to wrap some PTFE tape around the plug bit there, just in case anything's touching the going to touch the outside walls of the plug, which we don't want to happen. Keep it away from there. Right, brilliant. There we go. So now what we need to do now is we just need to work this back and get this end on now. Push that up. Cameraman needs to keep his camera straight. There we go. Right. There we go. Work it in. Work it up nice and tight. There we go. So now we've got our plug on. So we're just going to put one of these screws in. I can't see very well with that one. That's it. This will just hold it in place. We're not going to put two of them in. We don't need the other one in that side. We're just going to put one in. That's held that in place. Well, now we're just going to put a bit of a heat shrink that down again to neaten that up there. There we go. Just neatens it back up again where it got a bit scrunched up. Right, okay, so now we're going to turn our attention to the RCA ends, which are very easy. I've done endless amount of RCA soldering joints. So what we're going to have to do now is we're going to have to cut back this this braid. Okay, on both of them, because it's too long, way too long. Right. I need to twist all that up again and then put some solder over it just to keep it in place. We don't want any rogue strands touching anything. Right, okay, let's get this show on the road. Right, that's that. I'm going to just put some on the ends now. For some reason this end has gone very I need to push back some of this PTFE tape on there. Get rid of some of that. I'll just stick a bit of solder on all the ends of these conductors here. That one. This one. This one, and then twist the cable around so we can see that other earth wire sliding off, which is no good. It's this one here. Right, okay, so we're up to that. Now what we want to do now is we want to use our nice rhodium plated RCA plugs there. So first of all we need to push on the cable there. So this is the right. I mean, it was the plug's already indicated, so I just put those in there just to show you. So let's we're going to push our plug into this little hole. It's quite handy, that is, just to hold our plug. We usually use in fact, I'm not sure where that's gone at the moment. Oh, actually it is up here. I probably will use this again actually, because it's easier. Right, okay, so we'll get our old we've got our old tuner here that I usually use for soldering. So I've got a hell of a lot of junk on this bench at the moment, which is not looking too good, so I'm just going to hoof some of this off of here a minute. Put this onto here. There's nothing worse than working in a mess. Right, okay, so let's get our RCA plug into one of these RCA plugs there. There we go. So now we've got to revert back to our thingy there, our diagram. So first of all we need to push our back housing on. Okay, so now we've got two conductors there. So we're on the right hand side, right? So we've got a green and we've got a red conductor there. So the green is the negative, so effectively these two have got to be soldered together, the earth at one end. So what we're going to do is we're just going to push those two together and put a bit of solder on those. I think I need to find the solder. I'm slipping off again. Right, okay, so cut another bit of solder off here. Right, okay, so I'm just going to load up the soldering iron first, a bit of solder, and then we're just going to push these two together. There we go. So that's not quite done. There we go. So now that's going to solder there, and this piece here is going to solder in the top there. So we can slip that under there and that on there. Actually, I've left myself a tad short there, but it'll be fine. Just try to push that back a bit. So first of all, we're going to... I should have done this on a bigger bench, by the way, because this is... where's my solder gone? It's falling onto the floor now. Right, so what we're going to do is just load this piece up here with some solder, the centre pin there. Okay, a bit more solder on the end, and then we're going to solder that to there. There we go. So that's in place there. Right, okay, now we're going to twist the plug around, pull it out, to spin it around. Just check that joint's okay there, that's fine. Now, we're just going to solder that piece to there. Push that back into there. take it to about there, and I'm just going to solder it to the side there. Nope, that's not done it. That's done it. So now those two are soldered. Centre pin, the earth and the ground there. So now all this needs to do is just to be tightened up. Make sure you get it straight. You don't want to go out on an angle. This is not good. What that is there we go. So we've tightened that up there. Now we've just got to tighten. Now you see the back there is quite big there. So what I tend to do is just to put a little piece of cork in the end there, which I've got over here, which I'll bring over. So what I'll do is I'll just push a piece of cork in the end there, just you could put more heat shrink on it. You can do whatever you like really. There's no, as I say, there's no hard and fast rule for this. We're just gonna bend that. Oh, take a bit more off of that because that looks a bit. So we just need a small piece here just to slide in at the back there. There we go, it's just to cushion it a bit. There. And now we need an Allen key. Right, so we've got our Allen key now. We just want to do that up. Just push it down the side there a little bit. Right, okay. So that's tightened that up in the end there. That's fine. Right, okay. So now we've just got to do our second plug. So we'll take this off. We'll fit this in here. So it's just exactly the same as the first one you've just seen us do. We'll push that onto there like so. So we're going to refer back to our diagram again. Always keep an eye on what you're doing of the whole time. So the white one is our centre pin, and the blue and the braid have got to be soldered together again. So we'll just load our soldering iron up with some more solder, so we can solder those two together. There we go, that's that. And then if we want to solder our centre pin again there, which is the white cable, let's get some solder in there. There we go, lovely. Right, so now we're just going to keep the end of your soldering iron always clean all times. It just works so much better. There we go. Keep doing this. Now I've got to take the soldering iron underneath again. Right. So we need to just spin it round again. And then just solder that off onto there again now, onto the side bit. Right, okay, we'll just push that to the side there and we'll just solder it to the side of that. There we go. That's nice and neat. They're all soldered up nice and neatly. So again, what we're going to do is we're just going to put a piece of PTFE tape just around it slightly, just to make sure nothing's going to touch. Oops. Right, there we go. It's all nice and neatly in there. Take this up here again. Right, so we've done up the back housing now. We're just going to tighten up. We've put a piece of cork in the bottom there just to keep it in tight in place. Just going to tighten this up like so now. Right, that's it. That is our cable fully made up. Look at that, beautiful. That's going to perform superbly. There is one more thing. Did I do that up? No, there's a little screw here, a tiny little screw just there, which I've got to tighten up there. I'm a bit wobbly today for some reason. There we go. Doesn't have to be tightened up much. I need to look at it with this. This is where I need to look at it. Right, okay. So that is it, like that. There we go. Just tighten that up a little bit. That's perfect. Right, excellent. There's our cable fully made. Okay, this is a bit shorter than a metre. It's probably worked out to about 1.8, but that's all I need for my job. So all I can say is I hope you enjoyed watching this. I know it's a bit awkward on videos doing this. I'm not the best at filming and the camera work and that, but I hope you can see that you can produce a very nice cable. So all I've got to say is thanks for watching another Tweaker Man video. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to give this this video a like. Cheers.